Hi everyone, my name is Victor and I am one of the authors of Technique.com. Today we're going to continue with our course and we're going to be looking at LVM in Linux. Alright, so LVM, which means Logical Volume Manager. Okay, so it is a management technology for storage. And before LVM technology, storage management has not been really easy, especially in the area of partition resizing. But now that LVM is around, storage deployment and management has become very flexible and easier to manage, more especially in the area of volume management compared with the traditional way of standard or partition or manual partitioning. All right, so this concept has actually changed the storage world positively. Okay, and using LVM comes with great and easy to do configuration. But before we start before we start all of this configuration, it's better to understand the concept and terminologies around the LVM. All right, so LVM, okay, you can see this chart, and you can see that in this chart I have PV, which means physical volume, all right, and I have VG, which means volume group, and I have LV, which means logical volume. All right, so these are all these concepts is what makes LVM. All right, and you can see that before you if you're using LVM, the end result of LVM is actually creating a logical volume, which is the partition, all right, which is the LVM partitioning, just like when we have the standard partitioning. But before you create the logical volume, which is the LV, all right, you would need to have a physical volume first, okay? So a physical volume must be created, all right, then followed by the volume group, all right. You can have more than one physical volumes, you can have two, three, four, five physical volumes, and from that physical volume, you're going to create a volume group from that physical volume, all right. So if you, for example, if you have like 5 gig of this physical volume, another 5 gig of this physical volume, and another 5 gig of this physical volume, you can create a volume group of 15 gig. You can also choose to create a volume group of 12 gig depending on what you want to create, all right. And now, so from the volume group, you can now create the logical volume. So say for example you have a volume group of 15 gig, so you can create a logical volume, which is the partition, which is the LVM partition. So you can say, for example, you create a logical volume of 2 gig, all right. You can create another partition, which is the logical volume of 1 gig. You can create another partition, which is the logical volume of 3 gig, depending on what you want to create. So the end result of LVM basically is creating the logical volume, all right. And before you create the logical volume, don't forget you need to have your PV, which is your physical volume, and from your PV you're going to create your volume group, and then from the volume group you can create your logical volume, which is the partition we're talking about. There are a lot of advantages that comes with using LVM, all right, and one of the advantages is easy volume resize option, all right. So if you're using LVM, okay, volumes can be reduced or extended easily. Another advantage is the easy storage management, all right. So if there is a need to create a partition from a particular disk with no free space, with LVM, physical volumes can easily be added to your volume group with no free space, all right. And from there, more logical volumes can be created. So LVM allows easy storage management compared to the manual or standard way of storage partitioning, all right. And also with LVMs, you can have the LVM snapshots, which means you can have your partitioning, your partition being snapshot, all right. You can have your volume or partition, as the case may be being mirrored, all right. So LVM supports mirroring, it supports even with LVM you can export your volume group, you can import your volume group, and there are a lot of advantages using LVM. And when it comes to the disadvantages of using LVM, there's no actually a major drawback, all right. LVM is just way too, the advantages, it's just too big and outweighs the disadvantages. So the only thing is probably if you have all your LVs on one disk without the partition, and if something goes wrong with that hard disk, you practically lose all of your data. Okay, and you don't even need to have LVs on just one disk. All right. So having note that when we begin to create the LVs, which is when we begin to use LVM, you will understand the difference between the LVM and the standard partitioning that we did in the previous chapter. All right. So if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below. All right. Um, and also, if you're going to be writing the RHCSA 8 exam or the LFCS exam or the SUSE Linux exam, you can just scroll to the end of this website and click on the exam practice questions. So at the end of every chapter, we always have exam practice questions, and it's very, very good. You practice before you go and write the exam. We always update these practice questions from time to time. With we have over 100 questions that we are even yet to solve, and I can guarantee you that practicing that questions before you write the exam, you will be able to pass your exams. Okay, in the next video, we're going to look at what a physical volume is in Linux and how to create one. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now.